Hello everyone, my name is Shay. I'm a literacy teacher at the AIM program. Our video today is about how to teach how to sound out words and how to blend all those sounds back together. Just be sure that you've watched a little bit of our other videos, specifically the sight words video, the personal books video, letter sounds video, and the CVC words video, as this one builds on all of the information in those ones as well. So before we start teaching sounding out and blending, there are some foundational skills for that we want them to have beforehand. We want them to have at least 50 sight words in their sight word bank before we start focusing on sounding out and blending. We do have a video on that explains that a little bit more depth. So if you'd like to watch that, that's definitely useful. We want them to have the majority of their letter sounds. There might be some that they're not quite solidified. That's okay. We can reinforce that as we're teaching sounding out words. We want them to know the difference between letter sounds and letter names, because oftentimes when we're giving directions for doing these activities, we might ask, what is the letter sound? And sometimes they give us the letter, or they might give us the word. We want them to know the difference between a word, a letter, and a number. Same kind of thing. Sometimes we're asking them to read the word, and they might give us the sound or the letter. So this vocabulary really helps them be successful in these activities. And we also want them to comprehend the words first, middle, and end. When we start teaching sounding out, we start with, often we'll start with boxes like this, and we might ask for the first sound, the middle sound, or the ending sound. And as long as they have that vocabulary and they comprehend that vocabulary, that makes these activities a lot easier to navigate. So once they have those 50 sight words, the majority of their letter sounds, they know the difference between the letter name, the letter sound, a word, number. They understand the first, middle, end language. Then we can start sounding out short CVC words. So essentially what's happening when they're sounding out words is they're sounding out individual sounds in words and then blending it all together. So what it is k, t, and then blending those sounds together as cat. So what we don't often recognize is that sounding out words is actually a multiple step process. So firstly, they're recognizing the letter C, then they have to recognize, oh, C makes k. And then they go to the next step, a, t. And then they have to remember all those sounds and how they were sequenced in that order to blend them all together and then to read the word. So often they'll be able to read a lot of these CVC words. So likely they'll know cat, but when we take it back a step and we start trying to get them to sound out letter sounds in that word, that's where it gets trickier. So there are many different ways to start teaching sounding out and blending. One way of doing it is doing it by word family. So for example, you could start with the word family up. Oftentimes they might know that word already, so this is a great one to start with. So they'd be blending two sound words together. So up, up. So once they've got that word, we can start adding sounds and letters in front of up, and we can sound it out. Up, mop. And we can just keep adding different letters in front of that. Another place to start is sounding out familiar words, so words they already know, and segmenting each sound, b, s, and then blending them back together. Bus, n, eh, t, and then you could use your hands here. Net. And we really want to exaggerate how long the sounds are in those words when we're blending. So another activity we use often at AIM is making nonsense words. So this is kind of the next step. Once they're really familiar with sounding out word families, they're familiar with sounding out the words that they know well, is kind of throwing them off a bit with making nonsense words. So using the same kind of technique, n, p, na. So the last thing I just want to mention about sounding out and blending is that sounding out and blending words and doing that independently is the foundation for becoming an independent reader. And it is the foundation for self-teaching new words. Oftentimes this skill gets missed because our kiddos often have such a huge sight word bank, so they read those short words by sight. So then we don't realize that reading by phonics, reading phonetically, is not a strong point. So we just want to make sure that we focus on this as it's really important. Thank you so much for joining me today for this video, and I hope it was helpful.
Thanks for watching Aim to Achieve. Check out our YouTube station for more videos, and don't forget to subscribe or leave us a like.